Allah says, don't take the Jews and don't take the Christians as your friends and allies. Don't take them as your friends and allies. He's talking about all Jews and all Christians. Only the schoolboy would say so. Proper methodology will easily lead you to the conclusion, no, Allah could not be talking about all Jews and all Christians, as we'll see in a moment. Well, then which Jews and which Christians? The answer is in the words which follow. بَعْدُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. Do not take such Jews, now listen carefully, do not take such Jews and do not take such Christians as your friends and allies, who themselves are friends and allies of each other. In other words, the Quran is anticipating something astonishing. The Christians accuse the Jews of the killing God himself. You can't do worse than that. The crucifixion. So to visualize or to anticipate a reconciliation, a rapprochement and friendship and alliance between a part of the Christian world and a part of the Jewish world is astonishing. And yet that is what Allah is saying it will happen. When that Jewish-Christian alliance comes into being, listen carefully, the Quran was revealed more than 1,000 years before Iqbal was even born. When that Christian-Jewish, Judeo-Christian alliance comes into being, don't take them as your friends and allies. But Allah goes on to say, وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّهُ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. Whosoever from amongst you turn to them with friendship and alliance, belong to them. You will no longer belong to us. Come sit over here, please. If you turn to them with friendship and alliance, you no longer belong to us, you belong to them. Inna Allah la yahdi al-qawma adh-dhalimin. Surely Allah does not provide guidance for a wicked people. So if you choose to be friendly with Washington, because the Judeo-Christian alliance has already come into being, it is the Zionist Judeo-Christian alliance, which has NATO and its military arm, if you didn't know it. And you choose from day one to remain friends with Washington. What is your status? What is the status, I have to say, of a Saudi Arabia, which has been a client state of the United States from the time that they took over that country from the Ottomans? What is the status of all the other governments ruling over Muslims who are afraid to step out of the line? They have to put their toe on the line and obey what Washington says out of fear. Because if you step off the line, your money could become like the Venezuelan Bolivar, and you'll have inflation destroying you and your economy. What is the status of the world of Islam today, which maintains friendly relations with Washington and London and Paris and Bonn and NATO and so on and so on and so on? Who created the United Nations organization? Was it Pakistan? Was it Egypt? Was it Bangladesh? Did the Arabs do it? Who created the International Monetary Fund? If you don't know it, then allow me, politely so, to tell you. It is the Judeo-Christian alliance, through NATO, who won the First and the Second World War. Then NATO came into being. And these victors of the war, they are the ones who established the United Nations. They're the ones who established the International Monetary Fund, etc. And you now become members of these organizations in defiance of Allah's command in the Quran. What is your status? So this is our relationship with one part of the Christian world. We are prohibited by the Quran. But there are people who don't hear, and there are others who don't want to hear. So what can we do for them? Answer, leave them and move on. Because if you have the truth will triumph despite whatever a rival to the truth may seek to do. So leave them and move on. Allah speaks in the Quran about another kind of Christian. Listen carefully now. Listen carefully. These Christians, you must not be friends and allies with them. No, prohibited. But he speaks about another one. He says, لَتَجِدَنَّ. This is the same Surah AlMaidah. You will most certainly find at this time and in time to come, فعل مضارع, أشد الناس عداوة للذين آمنوا اليهود. Those who will have the greatest hostility for you will be the Jews. It happened in the lifetime of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, and it never recurred for 1,000 years or more. No. Until the Zionist movement was established more than 100 years ago. And now once again, it has re-emerged, exactly as in the Quran. وَالَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا. You'll also find the people who have the greatest hatred for you would be a people who at that time were the mushrikun, the people of blasphemy, worshipping idols and so on. It happened at that time and now again, because you have a new people who say today, no longer is Allah al-Hakam, as in the Khilafah state. The state is now al-Hakam. And if you didn't know it, let me introduce you to the Republican state. If you did not know it, let me introduce you to the Republican state. Allah is no longer al-Hakam. The state is now al-Hakam, meaning the state will decide how to govern. The state has absolute supremacy. The state will decide how to rule. The state will decide on law. Allah can make it haram, the state can make it halal. It is modern Western civilization which gave us the Republican state, and Iqbal knew that very well. Of course he did. And Allah says, these will be the ones showing the greatest hatred and hostility for you. And so it is today. The war on Islam is being waged by these people. The mountain of lies are coming from them. But Allah speaks and He continues to say, listen carefully, وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أَقْرَبَهُمْ مَوَدَّةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى. My students have heard me saying this so often they're fed up now. But there are those who have not heard it so far, so allow me to repeat it. And you will most certainly find at that time, when the Jews re-emerge with the greatest hatred for you, at that time, when these people who are built on shirk emerge with the greatest hatred for you, at that time you will find a people who will show the greatest love and affection for you. And they will be a people who proclaim, we are Christians. Oh, but wait a minute. They don't proclaim themselves Christians in the United States, Britain and France. No. Religion is a private affair. We will be secularized. We proclaim ourselves French and British and American. And religion is for Sunday morning. But these are a different kind of Christian people. قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى. They proclaim themselves, their identity. We are Christians. So this could not be Western Christianity. Kindly eliminated. A Christian people who will be closest in love and affection for you Muslims at that time. The Quran goes on to say, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ مِنْهُمْ كِسِّسِينَ. The reason why they will behave like this is because they have the institution of the ulama intact. The religious scholars still have a status in that Christian people. That side of the world, the religious scholarship is gone. But this side of the world, the ulama of the Christians still have a very high status and a very important function in society. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ مِنْهُمْ كِسِّسِينَ. And then Allah goes on to say something else, a third thing, وَالرُّهْبَانَ. And that is because they still have the institution of monasticism. Or eliminate Western Christianity, because the monastery in Britain is now McDonald's hamburgers. The monastery is now Kentucky Fried. Monastic way of life is disappearing. Indeed, the churches of Britain are being sold now. Masajid are coming up where there used to be a church. 4% of the British people now go to church. Britain is essentially an atheist country. But these Christian people still have monasticism. They still have the monastery. They still have the monk. Which Christian people is Allah talking about? And then Allah says a fourth thing about them. وَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ. They're not an arrogant people. They don't want to rule the world. And because Russia is not prepared to submit, and China is not prepared to submit, they will wage nuclear war and destroy most of the world. Because they are an arrogant people, they want to rule the world. So then which Christians are we talking about? Answer, we're talking about the Orthodox Christian. He doesn't have Christmas on the 25th of December. And he doesn't have a gentleman with a big white beard who flies to the sky on a reindeer, a fellow called Santa Claus, on the 25th of December. No. When you go to the Orthodox Christian church as when I went to Moscow, I found there were no chairs. None. It was like a masjid. Yes. An Orthodox Christian, I cannot mention his name, he's a prominent Christian, Russian military analyst and political analyst, is coming to visit me. I'm honored to have such an important man coming to visit me, to spend some time with me. And the man makes mention about dietary rules. These are our dietary rules. What we can eat during this Lenten season and what we cannot eat. And hope that it will not cause any problems for Imran. And I am amazed because over there they eat everything and anything. They don't care anymore about halal and haram. And so I share with you now, finally, that the Khilafah state would recognize the Orthodox Christian world, which today is led by Russia, that these are the people Allah is talking about in the Quran, that they will be closest in love and affection for you.